Hello and welcome to the Press Start podcast, Press Start Australia's weekly video game discussion podcast, brought to you today by SteelSeries and their new range of Alias microphones. They're mics made for gamers, and a big shout out to SteelSeries for continuing to support the show. I'm your host James, joined today by my fellow gamers and co-hosts Shannon.
Hello.
Ewan.
Hello.
And Brody.
Hello.
On the show today, we're going to talk about updating show notes, the Xbox and Bethesda Developer Direct, Palworld, everyone's favourite controversial game, and our thoughts on The Last of Us Part II Remastered.
Exciting.
But first, Ewan, you've been away, and I believe you got to play some video games while you were away. And I think it's topical, so...
Yeah, well, I played heaps of Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown, which is not a game that we haven't spoken about before. James, was it not you that reviewed it? Or was it?
No, it was a friend of the show, Stephen.
That's right.
Yeah.
So yeah, we spoke a little bit, about your perspective of it a couple of weeks ago, and I was very excited to get my hands onto it. Unfortunately, plane travel presents the opportunity to really spend some considerable time with a game such as this, and that I did, and I freaking adored it. I'm really loving it. I don't know how far. I've kind of got like 2 main abilities now. I don't know how far that kind of puts me through it, but I feel like I've explored a lot of the map already.
Yeah. What was the last ability you got?
I got the kind of ability to flick between different dimensions.
Oh yeah,
like toggle between 2.
I would say you're not even halfway.
Oh, that excites me so much. Awesome.
Yeah. There's lots of cool stuff.
I'm really enjoying it already. It's like, not that we're far into the year, but already this feels like a Game of the Year contender in my mind. I'm enjoying it that much.
Yeah, I agree. I've finished it now, so I really enjoyed it too. I think it's really interesting how there's so many Metroidvanias now, and this still manages to do such different things with the powers and stuff. It's not just obviously the double jump and air dash are typical upgrades for these types of games.
Yeah.
But there's just so much more uniqueness to it that you haven't seen yet, but you will.
I'm so surprised I don't have the double dash yet, and even I kind of like how surprising. Sorry, double jump. Yeah. I haven't even got that yet, but I'm amazed at kind of what it's able to do mechanically without giving you something so simple as that. And I love how surprising the abilities that I have been. Seeing all the kind of glowing yellow walls, I was like, oh, okay, I'm going to get some sort of charge mechanic or something that allows me to power through these walls or something. But I was no, you can open this tear and collect different things around the map, and depending on what you throw, different things happen. It's a really cool game. Really enjoying it.
It is really good. The platforming is just so tight as well. And I love that. I like that. I feel like the accessibility stuff, especially, they've made it as hard as they want to. But because there are those accessibility options, it makes it okay. Yeah. It's not the other way where it kind of gets dumbed down, and then the people who are say better at them might not.
Yeah, I'm playing it just on the standard difficulty and without the guided feature on. And admittedly, I've had a hard time kind of finding my way around the map, and I've had to do lots of exploring to kind of find where I need to go. But it's always at the point where I'm getting frustrated, something suddenly clicks, and I'm like, this is how I do it, and it gets so rewarding. So I haven't had to turn that guided feature on, but I love that it's there. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you like it. Speaking of finally here, Xbox had a developer direct, I think the day after we recorded last week. So they've shown some games, which is exciting. All games for this year, which I think is also exciting. We got a deep dive into Avowed, a release date for Hellblade 2, a new look at Visions of Mana, which I think was just this whatever kind of inclusion, and then a look at the Indiana Jones game from Machine Games. So I'd argue the biggest reveal was Indy. So we'll start there. What did we all make of that reveal?
Obviously initially I was surprised that it was primarily first person. Obviously it's a mix, but I don't know, I was just expecting it to look like Uncharted. I think that's just because that's probably the closest frame of reference, and Uncharted is always compared to Indiana Jones if it were a movie. So
I didn't watch the showcase. I only saw the trailer, but do we know it's a mix of third person and first person?
It's
they've
first
said
person,
that,
and then when there's context sensitive things like climbing ropes and shit, like it pulls back to third person so you can see him.
Right.
But,
Okay.
and I
On
think
that point, I don't know
maybe
how
it pulls out to third person.
I can't think of too many games that do that to that degree. Like every time you're sort of climbing or grappling or whatever, it does switch. So that'll be interesting. But it's hard to imagine machine games won't pull it off.
Perfect Dark Zero did that.
And that was a gem.
And
Encyclopedic knowledge.
And the Deus Ex games.
I was going to say Far Cry 6, I think it was, when you go into like the kind of town area, that pulls out to third person, I think. Or like
some
you have the
Bond,
option
some
to.
Bond games do it too, I think.
Yeah.
But,
it's a rare thing though, and I don't feel like at least not what I've played, like has been executed all that seamlessly and cinematically. I hope that's what machine games do. Sorry, I cut you off there, Shannon. Did you have more thoughts?
Not really, no. It looks really good. It's just not what I expected. I was going to say, has machine games ever done a third-person game? I'm probably going to make myself sound really stupid, but
Not
all the
recently,
Wolfensteins
right?
have been
Yeah.
first only, haven't they?
yeah, they've only done Wolfenstein as machine games.
Okay.
And obviously they're
Probably
all first
somewhere
person.
in their
I
past.
think as Starbreeze, I don't think they... I still think they was... I'm just quickly looking. I'm pretty sure they're all
Did they
first
pull
person.
out to third person in Chronicles of Riddick, maybe?
I can't remember. One of my favourite games, and I've forgotten.
A classic.
I
What did
actually
you make
don't...
of it, James?
I actually don't like the look of it. I was a bit like...
Oh.
Yeah, I was a bit whelmed.
As in graphically, or the whole look of it?
Like, no, I don't care about graphics in general, but like, yeah, it looked fine. Like, the one thing I don't like, and I kind of get why they had to do this, is like, obviously it's not Harrison Ford, and it's Troy Baker, and it just sounds like Troy Baker. Like, I hate that. It's really weird.
I thought it sounds like Troy Baker doing a Harrison Ford impression. Like, it
Which is
sounds like he's trying to kind of get the kind of pretty flat delivery in the same way Harrison Ford does. But
yeah, I think
Yeah.
like Shannon was like, visually, I think it is very good looking and stuff, and it looks authentic to the era because it's set between two of the older movies, obviously.
Raiders and Temple of Doom, I think.
yeah,
But like, I don't know, like the gameplay, like it just didn't look that interesting. Like you kind of just hit someone on the head and like grab them towards you with a whip. Do you know what I mean? Like I can't see how that will be fun. Kind of.
I tend to agree. I think the good thing about the Wolfenstein games is that they're just absolute like bullet hallways, like, and you're just shooting everything. But they've sort of made the focus that Indiana Jones doesn't really do that. Like he's more a pugilist, and when really he needs to, he'll use a gun. So I do worry it's going to be very like melee focused and use the whip and all that sort of stuff. So I trust in machine games.
Yeah, I do too. But I assume they can't make it like say Wolfenstein because this is going to be a Disney production at the end of the day, you know.
This is going to be a weird parallel to make, but I kind of hope it's almost like Hotline Miami-esque, in that if you do get a gun, like the bullet, like the clip is like, or the ammo for it is quite limited, and it's
like
actually
6 or something.
Yeah, and you're actually like having to kind of alternate between the hand-to-hand combat, the whip, and whatever gun you can maybe pick up in the moment, and like you actually kind of have to be quite strategic in how you make it through each area. But that's kind of my hope.
We assume that it's going to be more puzzle heavy than, say, Uncharted or like the newer Tomb Raider games, right? Like I think it's going to be slower paced and shorter, maybe. But I feel like you're going to spend a lot more time solving puzzles. Otherwise, yeah, I agree. Like I feel like in this first reveal, like they were going to go heavy on the whip, right? Like that's Indiana Jones. Like they wanted to destroy people getting whipped left, right, and center. So that's only natural. They're gonna lean into that a lot. Where you'd hope there's a little bit more diversity in combat, or less of it.
Yeah, this might be like, I don't know, a little bit ignorant of me to say, but I can't see what this will do better that the new Tomb Raiders or Uncharted have already done.
Yeah.
Like that's my thing with indie.
I think it has to be different, right? Like those two games have kind of been the Indiana Jones games, for like lack of a better term, and I think they've kind of done. They brought their own things to it as well, but you can't just replicate that sort of feel, I guess. In the same way Tomb Raider was kind of different from Uncharted, that did different things. I kind of expect that this will be a step a larger step in another direction. I
don't know if I've spoken about this on the podcast, or maybe a few of us have just spoken about it privately, but Indiana Jones, for me at least, is in a weird kind of spot. Like, I feel like the last movie came out last year, and I don't remember seeing anything about it or like anyone say
It
much.
did not do well.
Okay, yeah, which is like, it's a big brand, like in terms of Disney and Lucas. Like it was big. So that's interesting. But just back to the Troy Baker thing for a second. Like, did it surprise anyone? Like, he's got his finger in every pie. Like, I was like, it feels like Troy Baker, and I was like, surely it's not. Like, he's aligned to so many PlayStation things, and it's like one thing to do an indie game or like Batman or something, but to like then be the front man for an Xbox first party game, I feel like he needs to pick a lane. And
the fanboys are going after him too, I believe.
I'm not saying that. I was just shocked. I was just surprised that he would be
watching the trailer without knowing it was him. I was like, I don't know who this is, but they're kind of like getting the typical like Harrison Ford delivery right. And then it was like near the end, I started going, I wonder if it's Troy Baker. And then sure enough, I read like an hour later, it was Troy Baker. So I kind of think it's fine, but I do sort of feel like they went Troy Baker because they could have done Nolan North. Like it sort of feels it had to be one or the other. I wonder if it would have been better just like casting someone unknown that we don't have a bit of a history with and just doing something different. Yeah, I think it's great that they put the
how
likeness.
much they would have paid for that.
I don't think he would have wanted to do it anyway. Like, I think he's like pretty done with everything.
Yeah,
like,
he's old and tired.
Even the media circuit for like the last movie, you could see it. But yeah, I don't agree that like Troy Baker should not be allowed to not work on Sony
I'm not
games
saying I'm just surprised that like Xbox would want that. I don't know.
To be honest, I'm surprised that maybe there isn't a clause or something that Sony has.
That's what I mean.
He can't do Joel's
shocked.
voice.
Like
but like, I just think like for the people who are making the game should make a creative choice not to have the same 4 actors in every game.
That's what I mean. Like for this, like I don't know what Troy Baker does for that. Like they got the likeness of Harrison. Like I was surprised that it was Troy Baker. I just don't. I don't know. I don't get it.
Yeah, give some other actor some work. You know, share it around. I feel you.
But yeah, I'm excited. I hope it's this year. I think it's exactly. Yeah,
it is.
I'm just saying. I hope
right.
it comes out. This year. It's what Xbox needs, I think, in terms of like single player, narrative driven action adventure. It's like the one thing that they've missed.
Yeah.
And yeah, hopefully it works out.
How do we feel about the title now? Oh, is that what you just asked?
Yeah.
What about the name?
Yeah.
I think it sucks, personally.
Yeah.
Like, it's not exciting. Like, you think like Raiders of the Lost Ark or like...
Well, the last movie was stupid, wasn't it? What was
Dial of Destiny. Yeah,
that's
pretty
like, ooh, what's the Dial of Destiny?
Tough.
I don't know. That's got like...
You don't want to know more
like...
about his great circle.
No, what does that mean?
Maybe when we find out the context of it, it'll take on cooler meaning.
Well, they kind of explained it in the trailer, right? Like it's the kind of these historical sites around the equator line up. Yeah.
I just think like, you know, Raiders of the Lost Ark, Temple of Doom, Last Crusade, Crystal Skull, you know.
Yeah.
Temple of Doom strikes me as fairly generic.
Yeah, they all read like kind of
in the 80s that was like
20th century adventure novels, which I think is like kind of the plan. So I think they're all a little bit cheesy to extent. Yeah,
they
totally.
should call it like the Circle of Doom or like the Great. I don't know. The Great Isosceles or something like
the Great Raiders.
How does that...
both Great and Circle just aren't very...
Together? I don't know.
They're basic words. Like it needed one of them needed to be different. Yeah.
Like the Great Circle of Ra or something. I don't know. Like, you know, like how does... That sounds so much more dynamic. But, yeah.
It doesn't sit well with me. It doesn't sit any like better with me having seen the trailer as it sort of did as it was leaking. But I think like the kind of villain that they set up and the kind of story beats that you see throughout the trailer, they all feel like quintessentially Indiana Jones, and even kind of like the kind of first person sequence you get towards the end, like running from one crashing plane to the next, is like the kind of just bombastic sort of outlandish stuff that I hoped to see. And I feel tonally the trailer's right as well. Like it's all the same stuff Uncharted did, obviously, but Uncharted was, you know, Indiana Jones's original source material, I suppose, for Uncharted. So it is a bit of a great full circle moment. But yeah, it hits the right notes for me. I'm excited. Yeah. James, are you interested to hear how this feat plays into our predictions?
I feel like my prediction's already wrong. I can't remember if I had an Xbox One or not.
You didn't have an Xbox One. No.
Okay.
Which is surprising, actually.
No, why is it surprising?
Well, you're just the Xbox guy.
Really.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, right.
Well, so you know what? I think it's actually just me that has a prediction that involves Indiana Jones. I predicted that it would come out later this year, and it would be a third-person shooter. So I guess we're looking pretty good for it coming out later this year.
Point.
But
unless it doesn't come out, and then it's nothing.
Yeah. Anyhow, there we go.
Is it only Xbox? Definitely. Do we know that for sure?
Yeah.
Okay.
PC, yeah.
Nice get for Game Pass.
Game Pass day one. Love it.
Absolutely. Speaking of Game Pass day one, let's talk about... It's not in the notes, but I'm going to talk about it anyway. Hellblade 2. Exciting times. Wow. We have a date. What do we think?
I refute that it's not in the notes.
Great.
It's definitely in the notes. I put it in there.
It's definitely...
a release date finally announced for Hellblade 2. It's right there in the notes.
Yeah, well.
I just on the release date, I'm glad that it's May, isn't it? May 20, I want to say, but
May
that's probably
21st.
wrong. May something. I think that's great.
Birthday.
I don't think they could have... Happy birthday for them.
Yeah, thank you.
I'm glad that we're not going to have to go the rest of the year like waiting for a date in like November or January next year or something. Like this game, it was the first Series X game they announced before the console was even revealed from memory, or like right in line with it maybe. So I'm glad it is soon.
Yeah, I like that. I'm keen the fact that they've sort of clarified that it's going to be a shorter narrative sort of thing, more in line with what the first one was, which makes me wonder what they've been doing for fucking 5 or 6 years. But I guess they're a small developer. But yeah, look, I expect it to be quite the visual showcase. It seems like maybe combat has not been a focus of theirs necessarily. It seems like they've reinvented it slightly, but it's going to be more playing into the narrative beats, but definitely still very, very keen. Like this game does so many cool things, like the first one anyway, like with the binaural audio and stuff like that. So I expect this to be a really cool game. And yeah, just I think May is going to be a good time because I can't imagine that being hugely congested at this time of year, or at least at this stage it doesn't look like it should be. So and yeah, another win for Game Pass.
Yeah,
it reminds me I need to finish the first.
You still want to play the first.
It's on Game Pass.
Yeah, I need to get to it sooner rather than later. This one, this release date is sooner than I anticipated. Like Shannon said, like I kind of thought it was going to be later this year. But I'm pleased it is May. Like you, Brody, I feel like that's a good time based on the current calendar. But yeah, the pressure is on to make sure I finish the first game before this one.
What do we think of the no physical announcement for it?
I think that's going to become more common as we go forward. And I think it's a good... Like, for people that don't have Game Pass, I think it's a good means of making it a better prospect for the consumer, I suppose. Like, as $50 American or whatever it is, like, obviously that brings the price down slightly, so... But, I mean, we still get fucked here because of digital prices and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But
I think...
again, Game Pass.
When you look at, I think Starfield's being pulled physically out of Walmart, and if the rumors are true, the next Series X unit isn't going to have a disc drive. So I think Xbox wanted to pull out of the physical game a decade, however long the Xbox One was. So I definitely think they're probably going to get there before PlayStation does, just because they're so US dominant and we know how big digital is. Yeah, and Game Pass. Like, why would you buy the physical? Like, maybe if there was like a nice limited run or a collector's edition, but why would you drop money on it when the whole premise is Game Pass?
Yeah, I think like now more so than ever, but like perhaps even for like a smaller game like this, I don't know if we've got any idea of like if this is gonna be a full price release or like a cheaper one. But if you're just subscribing to Game Pass for a month to play something like this, it's really good value. And you might, and I'm sure that plays into Microsoft's strategy, and they want you to go, oh, well, I'll play Hellblade 2 and that I'll play through in a week, and I've got 3 weeks of Game Pass left. Like, let's see what else is on here, and before you know it, you're kind of 50 hours deep into Starfield and subscribing for a second month. So I'm sure that's part of the strategy, but yeah, like it's still a great value proposition. So
yeah, and this year is the first one where I think we might see that come to fruition in terms of like a 4-quarter year for Xbox, especially with the next game that was on the
setting them up.
I was about to sort that out myself, thanks. But so yeah, we also obviously, as Shannon has very deftly alluded to, we were shown Avowed, which is Obsidian's. I don't want to say, I want to say Skyrim like, but I don't think it is like that. I think I'm being a bit unfair on it. I don't know.
I think it's very fair to say.
It looks like Morrowind to me, if we're going to pick. But yeah, we finally got to see Avowed. Like about 8 to 10 minutes, I think, of like combat, story,
They've released
quests.
more since, I think.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I think there's more footage just today released.
Yeah, well, finger on the pulse, Shannon.
I haven't yet watched any of it.
Still in the game, baby. Still got it.
Always on, if you will. Anyway, but yeah, like I liked this. I'm excited for this. I don't know if anyone else is. I do. I hope it's something different. Like I know. I feel like Starfield, at the end of the day, felt very like their other games in a way. And I kind of hope that this is not just say like the New Vegas of Skyrim, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But cool looking world, like very alien looking world. Like I think it's not a typical like kind of fantasy setting. And you can dual wield wands. Like what else is there to want in a video game? Like,
yeah, I think that's what's really cool about the system that they built. Like you can have those different classes. I think or loadouts they might have referred to them, but then kind of switch
it's like loadouts.
Different. Yeah. Like I think that was the limitation of something like Skyrim, where you're kind of prescribing to a certain build and there's little room for experimentation. And if you're kind of like just switching hands, diving into the menus isn't really something you do in combat. So I like that this kind of seems to open up tons of different possibilities and encourage players to experiment with different combinations. I don't know. I'm curious of what your feelings are, but I don't think this is going to be as big and expansive as say a Skyrim like an Elder Scrolls world might be. I don't kind of get that feeling, but I love the art style that they've got going for it. I think it's a cool world they've built. I'm excited to see more of it.
In terms of length, I'm thinking like without knowing anything, obviously it could strike a similar length to say like the Outer Worlds, which is obviously a more truncated space Skyrim basically, or whatever it was, but yeah, very cool. Like, what this is set in like the Pillars of Eternity world, is that right? I think.
Yes, yeah, it is. It is.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm not very versed in that, but I mean, I feel like they'll do pretty well to make it accessible for like entry level people to that franchise. But I think of all the things we were shown in this game, yeah, I think the combat is easily probably the most dynamic and interesting looking thing. Like, definitely, while it still seems sort of clunky, like you would expect from like a Morrowind or Skyrim type, I think the being able to change it up between, you know, spells and even guns, I think they've got, like, it's, it seems like there's going to be a lot of option to play sort of how you want to play. So I think it's a, really cool looking game, and probably one to fill out the Q3 or Q4 or whatever it is of this year. So
yeah, I'm just doing a bit of my own fact checking on the fly, and I think they've said it's going to be interconnected open zones and like comparable to Knights of the Old Republic 2 and the Outer Worlds in size. So yeah, not quite like the big kind of open world RPG that I guess like someone hoping this is just an Elder Scrolls game might be, but all the same, like I'm super keen to get stuck into this. Did we get a release date for this? No, spring.
No, just I think fall. Yeah,
it is this year.
Yeah. I do kind of hope they avoid what Skyrim sort of struggled with, and because Skyrim sort of Starfield, because it still sort of felt old, like it had all those like, you know, the Bethesda style conversations that zoom in on a character and then you get your options, and this one still seems to do that, but I'm hoping it doesn't seem to feel as old. Like what I saw of the story and the dialogue stuff is probably the stuff that didn't wow me the most. But yeah, like hopefully they can find a way to get away from that somehow. And yeah, that's my only concern, I think.
I think they're a good developer. I think it'll turn out well. I'm thinking about like
great developer.
Outer Worlds, Grounded, Pentiment. I know that they're all slightly different games, obviously, but they've all been pretty solid.
Yeah,
absolutely. They've carried this generation so far. Do we want to talk about the best game of this presentation? Ara History Untold. Anyone down? Because I am not.
Okay. Right, okay.
No.
You threw me a curve.
If you like that kind of thing, that's great.
Oh, I think it looks good if you're into 4X strategy games, but I don't think, at a guess, any of us are.
Yeah, it's more like 4Zs for me. I'm being honest.
Yeah.
So I didn't watch the showcase. I'm just gonna pick the trailers that interest me. What is Ara History Untold? Is this like an Age of Empires kind of style game, or?
No, yeah, similar. I think it's from devs that did Civ 5, and they've created a new studio, so it's a similar sort of. Yeah, I think they call it 4X strategy game. So I don't know what the X's mean. I don't know what it's all about. It's just really exciting. A lot of X's.
Okay.
But yeah, I don't know. I can't tell you.
It's not like 4D.
I fell asleep.
My Xbox isn't about squirt water at me. No. Okay.
No, nothing like that.
No, mate. Like, that's enough. Don't be so silly. 4X, abbreviation of explore, expand, exploit, and exterminate.
Bang. So yeah, Civ.
There you go.
It's about colonization and shit. Yeah. Before we move on, anything else about Xbox?
I'd probably just as a top level thought, I thought I'd just like to say that I really, really like this presentation that they're doing. Like I like the developer directs. I think they nailed it last year. Like obviously the Hi-Fi Rush stealth drop was really cool, and while this year we only sort of got the Visions of Mana look, which was still cool and sort of speaks to Xbox still trying to bring in that Japanese market, so that is good steps. But I just think it's a really cool way to present it, and I love that the developers themselves get a bit of spotlight, especially in a time where so many are getting laid off and stuff. I think it's good to see the human side of it all. So yeah, I look forward to these every January if that's what it's going to be, or shit, with the 40 studios they've got, they could do one every 6 months or quarter if they really wanted to. So
I kind of hope they do it more than once a year, to be honest. But I did like that this was just this year stuff. Like I'm kind of sick of Xbox showing all these games, and then
over-promising and
no dates, and it's all
that was the same. Like this same direct that they did last year, this time last year, that was the same thing, right?
Redfall,
like they only
Minecraft
showed 2023
Legends.
games. Yeah.
Hopefully
they don't kind of paint themselves too much into. Maybe they already have, of like people kind of expecting it'll always be stuff for the next 10 or 12 months. But I do kind of like that. I don't know what you then do when it's the next, like if you do it direct later in the year. But yeah, it's cool.
I think what excites me most is that it's the January developer direct showcase, and we got Indiana Jones. And we got Hellblade, which will be out by June. So, like, what are we seeing in June when they like hit Summer Game Fest and stuff? Like, I'm just so excited. It's finally the year that was promised for Xbox fans, I think. Yeah,
it's January, and he's claiming it. This is it. This is the year.
It's coming, James. This is the year that we've been waiting for.
Yeah, anyway, I hope so. Anyway, before we move on, Ewan, you have something to say that you've been.
Yeah, I want to tell you more about these SteelSeries mics that we're using here in the show. As we've said before on the show, we're incredibly grateful to SteelSeries for kitting us out with these brand new Alias mics and helping us sound great without complicating our setups any further than they already are. The 3 times larger capture within the mics keeps us sounding great on the podcast and in our party chats as well. It's dead easy to manage the mic's noise cancellation and EQs, as well as my own sound through the Sonar software. It's been a while since I've done a live stream myself, but I love that you can manage all the audio that's output to your stream through there too. Massive thanks to SteelSeries for supporting the show again, and back to you, James, in the studio.
Absolutely. Thank you, Ewan. So, the game that everyone's either talking about or playing, or both, Palworld, hit the waves. Do we say that anymore? Hit the
airwaves.
Yeah.
We're really rolling with a theme here now.
yeah, we are. It is an Xbox episode, really. So Xbox and PC has now got access to Palworld, the game early access version. It is beating every record like ever. I think it's the most played game on Steam ever. Is that right to say? Like it's like
I don't know.
I think it's up there. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I feel like I don't know.
I think it's like the second best paid
most
game in like
concurrent?
5th or 6th all time. So it's still huge. Yeah,
Yeah,
for concurrents. Paid for
so-
a paid game.
it has
It's done like
been
6 million copies in 4 days.
which is like nuts to think about.
Yeah.
Like that money that they've got.
Oh
It's
yeah.
just-
Without
Oh.
PlayStation.
And they're going to have to give it all to Nintendo. when they get
Imagine if the
sued
day
into oblivion.
before had sold this much in early access.
yeah.
They'd be
well,
laughing.
well, it didn't. So
No.
and that actually closed yesterday for everyone
Yeah.
who wants to know who was following that game. Yeah. So obviously there's like a lot to talk about here. Has anyone played it? First of all.
I've played maybe about half an hour.
Yeah, I played about and my friend was playing it, and he's like kind of addicted to it. And he was like, "Just come see what it's like," and I was like, oh, like begrudgingly joined. And it's like genuinely awful. Like I don't know why. I don't know how people are enjoying it so much. But I think a lot of people have said it's like Pokemon with guns, but I don't even think it's like that. I think it's like Ark with
Yeah,
Pokemon.
it is like
Do you know
Ark,
what I mean? Like it's way closer to that. But it's definitely shameless in the way that it copies a lot of designs from Pokemon. I know that they reckon that they're not doing that, but I don't know, man. Some of them are like pretty like 1-to-1. But why do you, I have a lot of opinions about this, so like we'll talk about it later. But who is surprised that this game is apparently as good as it is and is as popular as it's become?
Well, James, can I jump in and say I'm not at all
Absolutely.
surprised? And in fact, I've been predicting this for years. If you might recall on the podcast, I've been banging on about how much Pokemon needs to do a game with real-time combat. And you all laughed and jeered and said, Ewan, you just won a Pokemon game with guns. That's preposterous. And look where we are. That's reality, and it's breaking all sorts of records. So, hate to say I told you so, but I told you so.
Back to you in the studio.
Anyway,
Now that's done.
now that's done. Yeah,
If Ewan's done patting himself on the back.
yeah.
When I went back and I think I wrote about this like 3 or 4 years ago and said like it was Pokemon with guns. So I do think that is a selling point enough. But then you add in like TikTok and all these platforms that sort of just make things go off now. And that has been all over my TikTok. And it's surprising there's not a lot of gaming stuff that's normally on my feed in terms of like every scroll is like this game. And that's enough to make something viral, let alone it being like Pokemon with guns. I know that, and that is what like the average person would be seeing it as. Like they wouldn't really even know there's a difference. I know you say there's probably not a lot of, it probably plays quite differently, but to the normal gamer who might know Pokemon from their childhood, whatever, like it looks like a more mature version of that, which is what Ewan has been begging for what feels like a decade.
And Ewan would love it because it's really Pokemon cross Fortnite. Because as soon as I booted it up and it asked me to build a fucking house, I was like, no.
That's what I love.
don't ask-
Like, and that's what excites me about it because I haven't yet jumped in. And truthfully, if we weren't recording this podcast right now, it's 100% what I would be doing. But like I love I love that it seems to be just this absurd amalgamation of like a bunch of different games and a bunch of different genres. And yeah, I love my survival games, particularly cooperative ones. As for like the kind of copying element of it, like I think it's kind of, and this is again without having yet played it, just kind of seeing the clips and stuff that I've seen circulated, it kind of looks like a parody of Pokemon in so many ways. Like you're kind of capturing these things and putting them into this kind of indentured like servitude towards you, and
That's how they'll get around the lawyers saying it's parody.
yeah. I guess it's still to be determined whether or not there's been kind of AI used to kind of circumvent copyright in some kind of particularly dodgy and heinous ways. That these are just merely accusations at this sort of stage, and connecting some dots that may or not exist. But yeah, like if there's anything like that, maybe that's a different story. But it kind of seems to be this really kind of tongue in cheek sort of parody of Pokemon with these other absurd elements added in, and I'm here for it. Can't wait to play it.
Yeah, I do. Like, I do think maybe this is. I agree. Like when Pokemon Arceus got revealed, I kind of feel like this is almost what people hoped it would be. Not with the guns, obviously, but just like the kind of open world kind of vibe that I guess it's going for. And I do think the popularity does kind of speak to the need for Pokemon to maybe evolve a little bit. I know we've said it quite a bit regularly. Like even Scarlet and Violet, I feel like it didn't quite get there as much as we wanted it to. So I do think that like
so what you're saying is Ewan is exactly right.
No, I'm not, because this isn't even because Ewan described, and no, I'm not even getting into that. I'm not dignifying it. But I do think it's like
I described a game in which you like use Pokemon, like use their attacks sort of in combat, and like don't you pick up like one of these little I don't know pals and like use it as a flamethrower? Like this is the game I described. Let's go.
Okay, sure. So in term, I don't know, like what I do think that is a little bit questionable. It's like so heavily building on like the even like the menu is like ripped straight from Ark. The music, like the little jingle that plays when you get to an area, is from Zelda. Like it's so like it's so shameless in the way that it is copying everything. Like I don't know how I feel about that. Like
everything is like takes bits and pieces from something else.
Yeah,
like,
but not like this.
No, I agree. This is on another level, but I don't. Well, yeah, it has. Is it direct asset rips? Like they're very close.
Well, James is saying it's the same audio. Yeah.
I don't know if I haven't
Look,
compared the files,
I think it's just important to distinguish that when we say it's the same audio, they're not like going into the files of Zelda and copying out the MP3 file and like putting it. This is showing
on that note. I've seen people comparing the models like from Pokemon Go.
Yeah,
and there's like some similarities there. So like that is literally theft. Like I don't know.
But surely like kind of humanoid models from any number of games you could.
I'm talking about the Pokemon or the pals. I'm not talking about the humans.
Yeah, but I just sort of think like if you've got a creature with 4 legs, like and you overlay the models,
it's literally the same neck shape.
Don't
as
justify
like a
theft, Ewan. It is intellectual property.
What the fuck?
Oh, Robin Hood.
I don't think that necessarily proves anything. Is what I'm saying. Like, yeah, it makes a good clip to share on Twitter, but is it concrete?
I think that you're thinking that I'm saying they stole a chicken model or something, because chickens all look the same. I'm literally talking about like a Pokemon with like a wobbly neck or something that has the same wobbly neck in Palworld.
Yeah, but like there are literally like rip-offs on the App Store, like where you can get like Pokemon Mobile, and it's got like Pikachu in the DP.
Yeah.
Like that, it's not that. Like just because it looks a bit like, and I know that some are very close, but like just because you get the perception that it is Pokemon with guns, and like I don't know if they're to blame for that.
Yeah, and they're not.
Like
they're not like unpacking the asset files of the original game and like copying and pasting them into their own. Like
this is really surprising to me.
I'm sure
for both of you. Like I'm like genuinely a little bit.
I feel like if you're parroting something, it's fair game to kind of sculpt something that's similar to the model of another game.
I don't know if it's parody. You keep saying parody, but
you're like
it's not parody.
It's not parody.
I don't think it's parody. They're definitely. I don't think it's parody. I don't know.
It's so outlandish. I don't see how it possibly can't be. Like just because they don't have.
Again, I've only seen specific examples on Twitter, and I don't know Pokemon past like the 150, so I don't know. It's just they're ridiculous in itself, like in what they are. Like they are just weird shapes and blobs and whatever. And I don't doubt that they've tried to replicate that, but like there are legalities around like you can take something and change it 5 or 10%, and then it is its own thing. Like, unless it's 1-for-1, which I don't think it is 1-for-1. Like, they're meshing, like, 2 Pokemon together is one example that I've seen, where one has the neck that looks like one Pokemon and certain other aspects from another. Like, that, I don't think it's an issue, like, legally, but we'll find out, I guess. I think that we've known about this game for years. If the Pokemon company thought that it was illegal, like, it wouldn't have come out. Like, I genuinely believe that. with how Nintendo and the Pokemon Company are.
Wow.
Yeah, look, I think it's ultimately going to be determined by people that are bigger, more of an expert in this sort of thing than me. But I'm sure Nintendo, as Shannon says, like, will be sparing no expense in having their lawyers assess these. Look, admittedly, James, I am looking up some of the comparisons.
That's a whole totally different argument.
Yeah, I am looking up some of the comparisons that I think you mentioned about. I'm seeing something about a wobbly neck here, and like looking at the meshes and stuff of the models. They do look remarkably alike, like very, very much so. And I guess that's like where you need to make the determination. I don't feel equipped to do so. Is like, is this them? Like, how much of that is kind of just recreated to kind of look like it versus kind of being, almost kind of tracing the Pokemon. I don't know what I'm saying necessarily, but I still
there is no doubt that they want them to look like Pokemon.
Yeah, I've heard people sort of saying it's like, well, they've got like they've got an electric creature that's essentially Pikachu, and it's like, what? So you can't have like a yellow electric creature in any game ever because that's Nintendo's thing. But I don't know how similar it looks to to Pikachu. These ones I'm looking at with a wiggly neck, admittedly, do look very similar.
Yes, well, we'll see how it all shakes out, I guess. I mean, hopefully they didn't do anything too dodgy, but yeah. Yeah. Anyway, let's go to
Let's see what Nintendo says.
Speaking of copying from the past, I don't know. Brody's review for The Last of Us Part II Remastered went up since the last time we all gathered. Brody, obviously you wrote the review for the site. What did you make of the total package?
I think the package is great. It's very enticing. Look, I think it's really good because the one thing I was dreading was replaying the campaign because I didn't know I was ready for it yet. Like, I thought the first time it was quite taxing to get through the game, but playing it again, like it just holds up. It's a great game, great sequel. I love everything they did narratively. So look, the game still holds up, and if you haven't played it before and you're coming in after part 1, it's a great time to play it. Especially with the lean slate this year if you're a PS5 owner. Now, the stuff that make it obviously the remastered package, I think they do all that stuff really well. Naughty Dog are really good with behind the scenes stuff and sort of extra content like that, I think. So I know it hasn't been really for everyone, but I really enjoyed No Return. Like, I think it's a really cool roguelite mode that plays to the strengths of the game's combat. I like being able to play as all the different characters and sort of play to their strengths, and they're all sort of unique in that way. And yeah, I just think it's really good. I think if they had have fleshed it out more, I could have easily seen it being almost the Naughty Dog live service game set in that world, but obviously it's a bit pared back in that sense. I like the lost levels. They, with the context of why they were cut, but obviously knowing what they could have added to the story, it's a good little inside look at that side of development that you don't often see. Like, I think it's great access to see, these incomplete levels. Like, I can't imagine being a developer putting that sort of thing out there, like knowing that someone's going to be judging work that you haven't even got to finish, sort of thing. So, yeah, and I'm a sucker for commentary, so I played through the game, and then I basically went back through and listened to all the cutscenes again with the commentary on, just to get all that insight. But yeah, I think it's a great package, and I think it's made more enticing by them having the upgrade path, the $10 or $20 or whatever it is here, the $20 upgrade path, to just upgrade your PS4 version. Obviously it looks great, like it's the best running version of the game. Like, it does what pretty much all the PlayStation first party games are doing, and sort of bringing them up to that standard that they've hit, which I think, what was it, 4K 40 frames, something like that, somewhere in that sweet spot. But yeah, I thought it was great. Obviously the game still holds up, so play it if you haven't. And yeah, No Return I thought was a blast. I don't know I think Ewan and Shannon have played it. I don't know how you came down on it, but I thought it was a lot of fun personally.
Yeah, I really liked it. I think I played it pretty much every day of the holiday break. I think it came in a few days before we finished up, and then I had the Portal, so I was playing a lot of that in bed. Like, it's not story driven at all. It's pure just fun. I think it highlights the combat and how good that is most of the time. Like, there are some awkward moments with it. I saw a lot of discourse around like how it almost ruins the story and brings the whole game package down, and I think you're just looking into it too much if that's what you take away from that. I think it's a standalone mode. They've done well without really adding a whole lot, and been very clever there. And it's just a good time. It's fun. I don't know if you can call it fun being The Last of Us and how gory it is, but it's more-ish. Like, you just want to keep playing it.
Yeah.
And yeah, I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I haven't really dipped my toes into like the no return mode all that much. I kind of probably only had attempted like 2 or 3 sort of runs. I had actually found myself just playing the story again in quite a major way, and almost got through to the end of that now. Actually, I'm excited to get back to it. But yeah, based on like what I played, like it seems to be very kind of there seems to be plenty there to occupy your time, and yeah, it's lighter on the story side of things, or like there's no story in it as opposed to God of War Valhalla. I loved what Valhalla did, and it's kind of a different thing to that. But it's interesting, like I've seen it's funny how these things come about, but on TikTok I keep getting these clips of like people kind of doing these like hypercuts of almost like trick shots and stuff in the game, which is kind of very tonally weird, I guess, given the implications violence has like within the story of the game. But I can kind of compartmentalize like this mode to that and just kind of appreciate the kind of gameplay mechanics that they offer in this mode. Like in this mode, it's just kind of allowed to be a game without any of the story implications that the campaign obviously has. And yeah, I think like they have developed a really cool visceral combat system that makes for a fun mode. I was amazed how challenging it was as well, like particularly I think it's the hunted ones where you've just got to survive for like 60 seconds as an army of enemies come at you. They really kind of demand quite a lot of you.
I do like that the more you play too, like you unlock other modes as well. Like there's like 4 or 5 different modes that you can unlock. Like there's so much stuff to unlock that keeps you occupied for, I don't know, probably like a good 10 to 12
and there's like
hours
all
or something
the
like that.
modifiers too, right? As well, it
and you can do custom runs.
I don't know what they were doing there with like generative, like and generating the modes and the photo modes and the different modifiers. But like I felt like I never played the same run twice, which was to be commended. Whatever sort of algorithmic stuff that they set up there to bring that all together in terms of levels and enemies and whatever else, like it just felt fantastic. But yeah, the combat, like I really liked that you could just try insane stuff that you never would have tried in the main game. Not because you didn't have the same weapons and stuff, but just because you sort of didn't fit in there and you didn't want to sort of break up that story mode and you wanted to conserve ammo and stuff. So I really liked it. It was just a whole different light for the combat of that
I like
game.
how they've developed kind of different like character builds kind of for each one. Like each kind of character has different skill sets that I think suit them as they've been set up in the story. Like I enjoyed playing as Abby and kind of getting health boosts when you engage in melee combat. It really encourages you to, you know, pick up the baseball bat and get in up quite close and personal. Whereas with Ellie, like her preference is kind of around the rifle and staying further afield. Yeah, I'm excited to kind of unlock more of the characters and see how they all play as well.
Yeah.
I don't know if you felt it this though, Brody. Yeah. Like, I kind of was eager playing it. I was like, I wish there was a multiplayer element to this. Like, even if it was co-op for no return or something. Like, I think that would be great.
There is like, I don't know how many runs you've done, if you've encountered them, but there are like levels where you have like companions within the levels, and they're only AI obviously, but like just having that company, I thought this would be really fun co-op. And it's a shame that they couldn't either make it work for whatever reason. But I really think if they had the time and they obviously maybe wanted to, I think they could have fleshed No Return out to be like a really cool like standalone Last of Us experience. Even, you know, there's obviously that dissonance that sort of makes it hard to palate, accept if you like sort of take in the story and stuff of the main game. But like I haven't really followed any of that discourse, so I'm not really sure what the reference was there. Or maybe I'll have to do some reading. But like I think it could have been a more rounded, fuller mode. But obviously, what we got is still pretty cool.
Yeah. Well, yeah, obviously friend of the show, and we've had him on a number of times, James W. He felt rather differently about the inclusion of the mode. And I think he presented a very reasonable argument as to why it is conflicting having it in the game, given it's kind of just like totally antithetical to like what that story is all about. But yeah, for me, that just doesn't bother me in the same way. Like, I see them as very different things. I don't think it diminishes the story in any way by it being there. And, you know, like, games and art, like, is this whole debate, but like in this mode, it's just very much allowed to be a game. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe I'm coming through with all the controversial opinions today.
I don't think it's that controversial. I didn't think about that. I mean, obviously, I'm not one to, you know, fist myself over The Last of Us like Ewan does, but I never really thought about that. Like, I know, obviously, I recognize that the whole game is about ending the cycle of violence and all that kind of jazz, but
yeah,
an optional bonus mode, like, you know, like, I don't know if that changes anything. You know, I don't know. That's just always how I've felt. But
yeah, there were people that were like calling out playing as Abby and stuff as wrong, and I was like, ugh, I just don't see that. Like, you're smart enough to differentiate the two things.
Yeah,
and how
there's a big crowd of people who hated Abby to begin with just because of her part in the story, and those people.
No, but it wasn't even that. It was like, I don't think it was that. Maybe it was.
I'll do some reading. I'll read up on some literature and see where I come down on it.
I will say, like, the context of playing through the story again was really different this time to how it was when the game came out. Like, obviously the game came out during COVID, and so like the kind of pandemic elements, particularly going through the hospital and kind of being there at like ground, I think the mission is called Ground Zero, like as the virus was starting to spread, like that was kind of confronting to play in the context of a pandemic. And then I suppose like nowadays with the global conflict that's going on, and particularly like the ongoing conflict in the Middle East, of like a lot of which kind of inspired Neil Druckmann's approach to the game, like that was very front of mind this time, and it kind of made me view and digest the story in a whole other way and really kind of connect with that kind of cycle of violence in a much deeper way than I felt like I did the first time. So I don't really know what I'm saying other than it's kind of interesting, like how these kind of two world events have kind of coincided with the release and re-release of this game, and like how it's impacted my connection with the story.
Lens of the game.
Yeah.
I reckon it's also watching the show and like being more familiar with that, and maybe even like seeing some different stuff with that just changes replaying it again so soon.
How did you handle spoilers in your household? I've been like trying to keep my girlfriend away from the screen when it's like climactic scenes because she doesn't know the story, and I'm trying to save her for the second season of the show.
I think Katie's watched me play the game like 2 or 3 times now, and I don't think she's taken anything in, so I don't know if she cares that much. She liked the show and will obviously watch it when it comes out, but look, I don't think anything I do related to games is front of mind for her.
You'd have to you'd have to be watching. There'd be like 2 or 3
intently
scenes in like the 20-hour journey that would like you would just tell them to look away. Like for the rest of it, it'd just look like
that's kind of what I've been doing. I'll pause it and go, okay, you need to leave the room for this little bit, or I'll just like
the first time I played it though, of course the show didn't exist.
So yeah.
So I didn't have the benefit of that.
Unless she's going to sit and watch the whole game kind of through, it's kind of better experience watching the show. I don't know. I'm curious to see how other people react to that, manage that.
Okay, well, we're running long, so let's move on to the rapid fire question, which I'm reading for the first time now. Jennifer Coolidge has been added to the cast of Minecraft alongside Jack Black and Jason Momoa, but it was also recently announced this week that Until Dawn will be getting a movie adaptation, which is like, just quickly side note, like so unnecessary. Like it already was a movie.
It is basically a movie. Yeah.
Like anyway, of those two, which are you guys more keen for?
Until Dawn, I guess, but neither.
Wow, really? No, I reckon Minecraft.
I mean,
I'm throwing Minecraft in.
No, thanks.
Okay. No, well, you're going to be seeing it. You have kids. It's happening.
I'm going to say
probably.
Minecraft as well. I feel like it's going to get the kind of Super Mario treatment and be a bit zany, and I'm here for that.
Shani?
Neither, but I guess Until Dawn, but probably neither, to be honest.
More evenly split than I thought we would be.
Yeah, me too. Interesting. Okay, so What the Wiki? What the Wiki is a press start podcast game show where the previous week's winner reads part of Wikipedia page for an unknown game and the contestants must guess the game. The point is awarded for each correct guess and the round ends after one person scores 2 points. As last week's winner, Shannon is in the hosting chair and the current leaderboard is myself on 3, Shannon on 2, Brody on 1, Kieran on 1 and Ewan on 0.
Nil point.
Didn't say it.
Oh,
Yeah,
sorry. Yeah, sorry. It was very disrespectful of me. So yeah, Shannon, host us.
Host us with the most
this
us.
is going to be a bit of a mess as I had the games from earlier today, but realised I didn't do the actual thing, so I've just tried to pull them last second. A few are a little bit harder to find entries for, so let's do it. The game is a 1999 game that was followed by various sequels released for the PlayStation and other platforms. The story focuses on a human brought to File City on File Island to save said island.
Ooh.
The characters of this game have been losing their memories and becoming feral, and the city has fallen into disarray. The goal of the player, who is represented by an unnamed young boy, is to save the island by helping the characters
Brody.
recover their memory and return to the city. Yes, Brody.
Is it Ape Escape?
No, that would be good. The gameplay revolves around... That is the end of the paragraph, so you're back in. The gameplay revolves around raising a single thing from its egg form, hatching into a fresh through in-training rookie champion and with some work ultimate. A partner will fade away with age and return to an egg eventually, so the player has to raise it again.
Brody.
Ewan? Oh, no.
Oh, sorry. Oh.
Don't. I'm kind of hoping Tamagotchi was like made into a video game at some point. Tamagotchi? The video game? Is my guess.
It's not, but
Damn it.
it's a shame, but no. Yeah.
Is it Digimon? Did you hear me? Do you need more?
I'm going to need more
Oh,
specific.
is it called like...
Yeah.
Is it called Digimon, like Cyber Sleuth or something like that?
Can I go?
Well, that
was a game, but
Yeah.
it is not the
Not
game.
this
What
one?
about me?
Yes, James.
Is it Digimon World?
Sorry, it is Digimon World, James. well done.
Thank you.
You seem to be
I
running
wish
at
you
a
could see
delay,
what I'm
Shannon.
seeing. It's like yeah, it's like I'm in Arkham Asylum because you're all coming through at different times and you're not matching your mouth, and it's just like you're screaming at me over the top of each other. But anyway,
How is that like Arkham Asylum?
Stop downloading Palworld
because it
in
just
the
I feel
background.
like I'm going insane with like the voice, like I'm having 4
Take
different
it easy.
conversations at
So
once.
that's your asylum of choice.
Take it
Asylum.
easy.
It is with you batshit crazy people.
Wow. Weird.
The game is a video game for Nintendo DS that first launched in 2005. In the game, players raise and care for a virtual
Ewan.
puppy using the handheld consoles.
Brody.
I'm going to need a full title as well, so...
No. Did I buzz in first?
Ewan did. I think.
You did.
In reality. The full title thing is scopping me. I was going to say Nintendogs.
Yeah, but
That
that's-
is part of it. Do you want to have a guess at the version? Thinking back to our long friendship.
Only James is going to know this. Like,
No,
No,
that's
I've
not
had
true.
my guess. Brody, you were next.
I would have said Nintendogs as well. I don't know any subtitles for that genre.
I'll take Nintendogs breed at this point.
Oh, what?
Excuse me. No. I'll
Well,
go.
then Nintendogs breed.
No.
if that's what you'll take.
Should I go? Can I go?
You can go, Jake. Please just end this.
Is it this? Yeah, this is awful. Nintendo's French Bulldog and Friends.
No, you're all awful. But if
Nin-
one of you were
Ewan.
smart, you would now take that and guess.
Oh, is it
Nintendogs.
Yes,
Nintendogs
Ewan.
Dashins? Sausage dogs.
And Friends.
Dashins and friends? God damn it.
This is the worst. Like,
Literally
Yes,
never
well-
heard this game in my life.
Just give it to
Yeah.
Ewan and let's move on. Christ.
Hey,
Well done.
Dashins.
It's Ewan. It's Ewan.
Yeah. Thank God.
It's a mess.
1 second. Pad. Let me...
He's got to stop downloading Palworld. in
How
the
do you all think
background.
this is
Is
going?
a mistake. I think this is going about as well as I would expect when Shannon is hosting. Things inevitably go pear-shaped.
The game is the name of a Game Boy game released by Bandai in October 1997. It is very much like what it is based on in the physical world, but with additional features such as music, contests, and more games. Upon starting the game, players will select an egg of the 8 there are, which will hatch after a short period of time.
egg games. Sorry.
After the baby hatches from the egg, the player can choose a name for it. Up to 3 characters can be raised at one time. Both will show in different screens. Also, music will change depending on which screen you are.
James,
Brody.
can I just guess?
You can guess. Go.
Is it Disney's Dinosaurs?
I don't know if you've heard me. This internet is fucking
Not
crazy.
Disney's Dinosaurs. Brody, go. No, it's... Yep.
Is it Tamagotchi? Was it on Game Boy? I don't know.
It is Tamagotchi. Well done, Brody.
Why do we have to prolong this round?
Doesn't it?
Fuck!
This is the
I
worst.
literally moved it forward so you would get it.
This is-
I don't know why this is happening. All right, let's end it. Much like its predecessor, the game is an
is
open
chaos.
world role-playing game where the player controls Nathan Adams or Katie Forrester. Players navigate around the world using
Ewan.
Nintendo 3DS touchscreen to find
No,
and
shit.
befriend. Yes.
Can't hear a thing.
That was a panic buzz. I thought it was 40 winks. I thought you were setting me up again.
To find and befriend various monsters scattered across the overworld.
Various
Players-
monsters.
This is just... James, guess it. Hurry up.
I don't know
Never a
it.
chance
Go.
to just be on- Players can give enemy characters a food item that they like
I haven't heard a
before
thing
or
of
during
this.
battle to have chances of befriending them after winning the battle.
James. No. No, I don't. I need more info.
Yes.
Oh my god.
After the battle,
So
any of the
bad.
enemy characters may approach the player character and give them its medal, allowing it to be used in the player's team.
Oh, I know what this is, but I
The
don't know
new
which one it
feature in
is.
the battle is using the watch Muddle Zero to
Yeah,
use
James.
G's
Oh,
ultimate
no.
moves.
James. No, I don't
Yeah.
want to. No, wait. Keep going.
The Model Zero also allows the use of poking, which uses the touchscreen to find a particular sweet spot of an enemy to increase the likelihood of befriending it. Other sweet spots can be poked to gain extra damage, money, or experience. I'm going to start saying the character names now to get everyone in.
Get to platforms or something.
He said DS.
I said
Did he?
Yeah.
3DS.
Oh, that doesn't help.
Yokai can be also
James.
acquired through the
Um,
Crank Akai by collecting... Yes, James.
Is it Yokai Watch? 2? What?
It
Yokai
is
Watch?
not
Ewan.
Watch.
Ewan.
No, see, this is annoying. Because, like,
Ewan.
UN.
Is it Yokai Watch 3D?
Brody. I don't know. Are we still going?
Is that even right? I don't know.
Yes.
It is right?
No, it's not right.
damn
Brody,
it.
go. No.
Are we still going? Brody.
What were you saying? What did you say no to? Like, I don't know which one you said no to because of the delay.
I don't know what's been said.
It's Ewan and James are wrong.
Is it
Brody,
Yoko
it's
Watch
your
2?
It's Yoko Watch 2.
God damn it.
Well
God
done, Brody.
damn
Hello.
it.
That's literally what I said.
Yeah, I thought
That's what
I thought James said Yoko Watch and Ewan said Yoko Watch 3D.
There was like a 10-second pause.
for you because you're delayed. Like,
No.
okay.
You
with
were
that,
playing
let us
into
bring an
that.
end to
Try
this
and
week's
fool me.
episode of the Press Start podcast. Once again, brought to you today by SteelSeries.
What happened?
And the new range of Alias microphones. Subscribe to us on Listener or the podcast service of your choice, and
I'm so
follow us
confused.
at press.au, and visit the site at press.com.au. We've been joined today by Shannon.
Oh, you can follow me at Shannon Grixie.
Brody. Oh my god, Brody.
My God. Who won what the wiki? I don't know what happened. Who won? You can follow me on most
I
things
love
at
that
Brody
Brody's now
_DG.
understanding
I'm
how I'm
sorry.
feeling. He's in the asylum.
I don't know if anyone listening to this
Oh my
mess of a
goodness.
show is going to find this as funny as we are right now. But God,
No, this is all gonna like work out well in the edit, so it's not. No one's gonna be able to tell.
So what are we doing? I don't know what to do.
I'm waiting for my name to be read out.
End it. I don't know.
Ewan.
Thank you for having me, James. You can follow me on social platforms at UN_Roxborough.
I've been your host, James. You can follow me on Twitter at JamesATJ. Thanks again for tuning in, and until next time, happy gaming.
Bye.
Bye.
From the
Bye.
asylum.